Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper. Today we are making smokehouse burgers, which is absolutely by far the best way I've ever enjoyed any burger I've ever tasted my entire life. This smokehouse has changed my life. I absolutely love it. And it's rather simple to do. So we actually have some ground beef from one of the neighbor's cows, but any ground beef, any burger base like that is going to work. And for seasoning, it's simply whatever works for you. We like a little bit of salt. I like a lot of garlic powder. And then I also put black pepper in there. But basically, that's the ingredients that I use. And one trick that I use to make some rather uniform burgers is that I'll use a small bowl. And I'll force them down in the small bowl, kind of make them consistent thickness pretty much. Sometimes I make a little bit thinner for the children, a little thicker for the adults, but they're all going to be about the same shape, relatively the same size. And then I'll knock them out of there and just put them on a cookie sheet. Sometimes I'll layer them in between with a little bit of parchment paper, but that's pretty much how I prepare these burgers for the smokehouse. And since I'm firing up the smokehouse, I might as well do some venison jerky. So a trick with venison, a lot of times if you're going to be eating wild game, people like critical control points. One way to do that is to freeze them. Another way to do that is to bring them up to temp when you're cooking them. With jerky, a lot of times you're more drying it than cooking it. This time I'll be hot smoking it, so I am cooking it as well. But I do like to freeze these first. And this one I left out overnight. If I hadn't left it out overnight, it would have still been somewhat frozen. And sometimes that extra firmness and rigidity to it helps you to make some really good cuts. Thankfully, I have a sharp knife. I just sharpened it. So I'm able to make the cuts, even though this is much more kind of rubbery, softer, not a very firm cut of meat. But it's just what I had on hand. It's a roast from one of the deer I shot this previous season. So I'm going to slice that up. And then the seasoning for us is normally rather similar. It's salt, it's pepper, it's a lot of garlic powder. I'm also going to add a little bit of smoked paprika here. And our secret ingredient is usually going to be lime or lemon juice. We really like the zing that it gives. And even in the oven, even not doing this in the smokehouse, it makes it really tasty. But when you combine all this with the smokehouse flavor, it is absolutely beautiful. There we go. Can you hold this still? Hold this. I'll grab the top. Hold it tight. We got it. Okay. Now, pick it up and dump some in. That's it. That's it. That's enough. Good buddy. All the way. One trick I like to do to get my smokehouse going a little quicker when it comes to the winter is to just take a good bed of coals out of our wood stove in our house. This wood stove has been such a blessing to us. We're able to heat our house for most of the cold season just using wood instead of using the furnace. That's a huge blessing to us. We can make our own wood here, but then we can grab a bed of coals out, put that in my little fire pan and take that outside. Outside, I like to get a good bed of coals going and then just lay down some hickory logs. That way they're smoldering, they're generating heat, but also a lot of smoke, and it's not a lot of flames. So first thing I do, get those coals, get some sticks, get a good fire going, and then to clean the grates that I use, the grill grates, I'll just put those in the fire for a little bit first before using an onion to kind of clean them. It's something people do a lot with grills. I like using that here, and then once it's all prepared, it's time to bring the meat out and put that in. After preparing the fire and the grates, it's time to put the meat out. These have just been chilling in the fridge. So I like to put the hamburger patties at one of the pretty much lower level, either the middle or the second from the top layer. I have 5 different layers here in my smokehouse. They get a good amount of heat that way and then also a good amount of smoke. And because I'm hot smoking them, I am cooking them, but I do impart a lot of smoky goodness to this meat. Then when I do the jerky, I put that on the top shelf. I put that up as high as I can go. It does get a good level of heat there, not quite as much as slightly lower than that, but it gets a lot of smoke as well. You can see even as I'm just putting this stuff in here, it's really getting smoky in here. I just like to take my head out, grab a good breath of air, then come in and work as long as I can, and then repeat the process. I could just put all this on the grates outside of the smokehouse too and then put it in, but sometimes I like to kind of interact with it a little more. And once that happens, then it's time to shut the door and let the smokehouse do its work. To start with, the temperature starts to climb once we shut the door. There's not a lot of oxygen coming in, which really helps the fire to smolder, really generates a lot of smoke, but that heat is working too. And before too long, it gets up to a really decent temperature that really starts to work with our meat. In the oven, I can only go down to 170 degrees. Ideally for my jerky, I'd like to go lower than that. One nice thing about the smokehouse is it allows me to go lower than that, and there's times I can ride for hours at 160 degrees at that top shelf. So this really works well for the things that I'm trying to accomplish in my life. I have 3 different thermometers at 3 different heights within about the first 45 minutes. The bottom one's 170. Up where I start having the meat is 180. And then where I have the rest of the meat, the jerky is just above 180. If I was just doing the jerky, I'd probably keep it about 160 or so to 180. It's maxing out about 180 for that burger right now. I don't mind that at all. I'll try to keep it probably below 200, but get that inner temp up on those burgers. But I also want some decent smoke penetration. So far so good. I like everything I see. Seriously, I just took like a 2-hour spearfishing trip down to the lake, shot my first bluegills ever, which is legal here right now. If you want to check out the full video, you'll have to go to the fishing channel. But I spent 2 hours at the lake, come back, and we got 160, 180, 170. This thing is so incredible. I do that sometimes. I'll just run my stuff for a bit, get it going, and then do something else. Let's look inside. So in here we go. This jerky looks amazing. I can't wait. I love our seasoning anyway, but when you add all the smoke in, it just takes it to another level. Beautiful. And these burgers, they are gonna be so tasty. We'll see how they do. Once the burgers were done today, we had some friends over for dinner, so served it with a bit of a salad on the side, and then also just some chips. Burgers and chips are a pretty common way to eat burgers here in America, and topped mine with just some ketchup and mustard. Sometimes we go more with guacamole and sharp cheddar and other things, but this is more traditional. These I probably left in for about 5 hours total. And I did do it a bit hotter than I do sometimes. Once I take a bite out, you can see it's really red inside there, and that's the smoke penetration. It looks kind of almost raw-ish on the outside with a cooked strip of meat going down the middle, but it's just the smoke penetration that gives it a nice red or pink color. And not only that, it gives it some deliciousness like we've never had before. I love burgers this way. Honest opinion, Smokehouse burgers, what do you think?
They are really tasty, and they're probably like my favorite way to eat a burger.
Really? Darling, what about you?
I really enjoy the Smokehouse burgers.
You do? Mm-hmm. And what do you think of our friends who we introduced them to? We had some friends over tonight, recently had some other friends over. What did they think?
Did they like them?
They really liked them, yeah.
They ate every last one of them. The guy ate 3, most of his children ate 2.
Okay.
So,
I wasn't paying attention, so.
Yeah, and then our other friends, what did they say?
It's the best burger they ever tried.
Yeah.
We did have some of those, yes we did.
Basically, I'm never grilling a burger again. Smokehouse all the way. And They did get a little too dry when I went spearfishing. So what did I do? What problem solving skills?
You added some broth.
Just put some beef broth in there and let them kind of simmer in there for a moment. Moisten them up a little bit so they weren't too dry. So that's a trick too if you go a little bit too long spearfishing at the lake. Hey, do you like smokehouse burgers?
Ow, ow. Yeah.
Yeah? Do you like venison jerky?
Yeah.
Did we eat all of everything?
Yeah.
Yeah? What'd you guys think?
It was really good.
Really good?
Yeah.
And how did our friends like them?
Really good.
Can you think of a better way to eat burgers than smokehouse burgers?
No.
Not even through a drive-through?
No.
No.
I don't smoke them.
You're laughing at that?
Well, they don't smoke them, you know.
It is. It's slow food. It's not fast food. What's that?
I said my mouth still tastes like that.
That sounds delicious. Oh, those things are absolutely amazing. That smokehouse, I'm going to kind of show some different ways we do some stuff as we get into bow fishing, smoking some carp, doing some other stuff. We could probably got a turkey coming up soon, eh, my lady?
Oh yeah.
And maybe a Muscovy, some different things. So that smokehouse did what to my life, darling?
Changed his life.
Changed my life.
My life too, because now he cooks.
She likes any meal. She doesn't have to cook. But
takes care of the
when we do that, yeah. Today is a happy day for my people, is it not?
It is.
It is. All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. Papa out.
Mom out.
Thank you for watching. And the next one. Thumbs up. But well.
The cow head is good?
Yeah.
That's because you know.